And we are recording. Hi, everybody. This is David P. France coming to you from Switzerland once again. And today I am speaking with Zoi Florosz. And before we go into the bio, I just want to let you know how I met Zoi. It was at a seminar many years ago. I don't know exactly when, maybe it was it had to be 2000-ish.
Yes.
Right? Early 2000s, I think.
Yes.
And I remember in the seminar we were in, I just recall you being very, I sensed that you were a very creative person. And as we were moving into this social media expansion, I remember when I was putting on my contacts and then I said, oh, I got to keep my eye on this woman because I know she has some ability, because as I am able to sense in people. So let me give you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
No. She, Zoi Florosz is an award-winning filmmaker and also a versatile singer, actress, and dancer. Let me go on a little bit, and if I screw up the words, you correct me.
Sure.
Zoi has studied classical music at Conservatory of Pécs. And Pécs is
city in Hungary.
In Hungary, yeah. Jazz voice at Liszt Ferenc
Music Academy.
Yeah,
it's
Music
a very
Academy in
prestigious
Budapest.
music academy.
Yes.
Music is big in Hungary.
Oh, yeah, of course. No, that's a lot of the, well, we can talk about that later and why that is,
Sure.
right? Then musical theater at American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York City. You have attended and concluded your studies at the Digital Film Academy in New York City as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And you have done lots of different things: music videos, dance films, documentaries, PBS specials, shorts, feature films. You've worked as a producer, director, DP, editor, choreographer, and you've coordinated all types of large camera shoots and things like this. So
Yes.
welcome. And we finally are connected, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's I would say, the special time through the quarantine and this pandemic that we find these new type of moments and new reconnections, and it's actually very exciting for me to talk about stuff that makes me happy and inspires me, and especially with you who is an artist, and you are the type of personality and intellect that can understand the things I'm excited about. So that's why I think it's super interesting to talk with you.
Great. Well, tell everybody, or give us an idea of your background, where you come from, a little bit of the backstory. Well, not really a backstory; it is the story, right?
I could say backstory. I was born in Hungary. My mother was Hungarian and my father was Greek. So I came from a mixed origin, mixed background. That was interesting, to grow up in socialism in Hungary, to have a Greek father that was already specific package. It has its own challenges. My parents were visual artists. I'm talking in past tense because I lost both of them. My mother was a quite established painter. She's a very serious artist. So was my father. He was a ceramic artist and graphic artist. So I basically grew up in a beautiful atelier surrounded by artworks all over, on the walls, on the floor. We had books opened with Picasso and Matisse were everywhere inspiration. That's how I grew up. My parents taught me, or more like kind of encouraged me, to be open to the cultures, to all kinds of cultures in the world, not just visual art, everything, literature, music. We were listening to Bizet Carmen and Edith Piaf and South American music and you name it. And I used to also, as I was growing up, competing in drawing. I was drawing and drawing and drawing, like literally 10 hours a day, like a little serious adult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and my mother used to sit next to me and read books that were also exciting for her, like, you know, the life of Rembrandt, or the uh, life of different artists, and
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, books that were interesting for her. But for me, you know, that was the training. I was drawing and I was listening to a story that my mother was telling me. So basically my brain started to be trained this way, like seeing visuals and then hearing a story, and somehow these two got linked.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I kind of think uh, the love of film and filmmaking was born in me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like this early linkage of the visuals and the storytelling. Um, but you know, coming from a visual artist family, I think it's I mean, I cannot be grateful enough. You know, that they taught me to see the world through beauty and see the beauty in the most unusual things. You know,
Yeah.
I was not a great conversationalist. My brain was working in images. I remember early on, like I was not able to talk about the weather, or I was not able. I couldn't do small talk for years
Mm-hmm.
and years. I struggled to try to do small talk because I, you know, I met a person and my brain immediately scanned the person. I saw visually, uh, you know, I understood the person by seeing him or her. And, but, you know, I think it's interesting because the brain, as we know, it's working with images.
Yes.
So when I say apple, you know, we see an apple in the brain. We don't see the word is just a code. So it's a very powerful language, visual art, and I kept this thing, you know, the love of visual art and processing the world through visuals. But then, you know, later on I studied music, I studied classical, flute, and that was a very rigorous training. You know,
Mm-hmm.
as we mentioned, Hungary has fantastic musical training,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I went through those rigorous years, you know, with fantastic teachers and really chiseled the technique. You know, uh, learned about the musical phrasing and how to approach a musical piece, how to breathe. You know, it's
Yes.
huge for flutist, which I was able to use later as a singer. The
Mm-hmm.
breathing is key. And you know, I uh, went to my schools in Hungary. I went to the acting academy. I went to jazz academy. I studied jazz music. And when I was accepted to New York, to American Musical and Dramatic Academy,
Mm-hmm.
I all of a sudden felt the world opened up to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to make a decision, um, study jazz in Hungary or study musical theater in the home of musical theater.
Yeah.
And guess which one I chose?
Sure. Sure.
I mean,
So, so you've been in New York for quite some time now, right?
I came in '96.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. 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 Wow.
And you know, I am so happy I made that choice at that time,
Mm-hmm.
because I got so much from that school. You know, I
Yeah.
think it's very important when you go to a country to somehow be in the educational system, understand the education and the. I think it's an easier way to enter the culture and understand the culture.
Yes.
I mean, I was always excited to see the Broadway shows. You know, how they able to do the chorus line such a way. You know,
Right.
everything all together, that energy, the smallest movement of the body is all together and powerful. And of course, the amazing performances, singing, acting, dancing. My God, like some triple threats there. So that was the ideal. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's what I was training for. And I understood going through AMDA what does it take to get there. You know, it was such an amazing training. And you know, I struggled with tap, for instance, because in Hungary there was no tap dancing. And
Right.
you know, first time I had tap shoes on my feet in New York. You know, that was entertaining moment. You know, when I was faking it.
Yes, yes,
No,
yes,
but
yes.
I did the faking pretty okay, because they had the placement class and they put me to the advanced group. You know, so I was faking it good, but then the problems came later. You
Sure,
know,
sure.
yeah, but you
It's
know,
I mean, it is a challenging, and perhaps one of the reasons why I started doing these interviews is that I felt that the general public needed to know, particularly from this standing generation, the people that are in my immediate, let's say, 5 to 7 years going forward and backward, we have a unique experience that hasn't been told, even in this creative realm, right? So it's a similar story that you hear from the people in the older generations, or even the very famous people.
mhm.
But I knew, based on who I saw you as years ago, I said, oh, she has an interesting story. I remember saying that in my head, even back then. So, in other words, you were on the back burner because I said, you know what, if I work with her, I know it's going to be, there's a lot there that we can pull from. What else what
Thank
other
you.
challenges did you have in New York? So you had all this training, but there's a point where you had to, I mean, were you working, or how did you move
I
into?
did all kinds of odd jobs around the school. You know, like I was invited to parties and be the dancer who's leading the party, like kind of
Mhm.
making it fun and cool and be like the crazy dancer, so everyone dares to dance. This type
Yeah.
of assignments I had.
Uh-huh.
I was reading talking books for Jewish blind.
Mhm.
The Jewish Braille Institute. I was reading huge books, you know, like talking books. It's a very
Mhm.
interesting, you know, very beautiful assignment. I
Mhm.
did, you name it. I mean, I was selling dance outfits close to Metropolitan Opera. I did all kinds of odd jobs to make ends meet. It was a great struggle, and I have to say that there were lots of people who helped me on the way. Like without the help of, pitching in from different people, I could not had made it. I mean, even to this level where I am right now. I mean, people helped, but it's not easy to be at the mercy of others. It's very scary to
Uh-huh.
kind of put yourself out there,
Yes.
to depend on other people's goodwill.
Yes.
You let yourself be vulnerable, but I I am learning, when you want to reach a higher goal, where you go into unknown territories, you have to dare to be vulnerable. And yes, you're gonna be depending on people. It's just, you cannot make it all alone, and it's not gonna happen that you do not depend on at least someone, but most likely on many people. I
Sure.
think this is the thing what we are experiencing now.
Mhm.
When there is a big crisis or a difficult situation, we always discover that yes, we need to help each other. So that's what I went through. I as a newcomer to American culture and this new country, um, understood the struggle of all underdogs
Mhm.
whoever lived, because I felt in a way like an underdog, not in a bad way, but I felt the disadvantaged situation and the struggle, and I
Sure.
had to push through. I had to. Yet, I think, looking back now, that gave me a very deep empathy and open up my sensitivity and understanding for others' struggle, you know.
Yes, I
Um,
understand.
and have to share it with you that even when I was in Hungary, I had a famous idol. I did a one-woman show, and I wanted to portray her, and I did portray her, Josephine Baker.
Yes.
And she's such an artist, such an idol, who came from a very disadvantaged situation.
Mm.
She went through hardships, and she was a genius in a way, and she conquered, and she broke down walls.
Yes.
She was able to, and I wanted to see where she grew up. I wanted to feel the environment, you know, the air she was breathing, the challenges she had to face.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, by being here, I think I got so much closer to her. You know, for the longest time, I wanted to make the feature film about me, myself, you know, an artist coming from Central Europe,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to play Josephine Baker.
Right.
You know,
Right, I understand.
It never happened, but I always worked on this film. Like that is my project that never happened in a film version. You know, I did a lot of
I can see it. because there's a lot there, right? You know what I mean? Like particularly like, let's say if it's happening in this age, this current age, and you have somebody who dreamt of being Josephine Baker and they're coming from Europe, that in and of itself,
right.
the journey of how that's going to take place in this current day and age is the story, right?
Absolutely.
I understand.
Yes. You know, one of the first confirmation that I was on the right track and I was right. The first theater after coming out of AMDA that hired me was the Black Experimental Theater,
Mm-hmm.
the Beyond Theater. And you know, the artistic director, Vander Fisher, wanted to give me eventually the role of Josephine Baker. We wanted to do the show there, you know, and that,
Mm-hmm.
and I said I was right. Like they love me, they embrace me, they see that I can be that, you know.
Right,
in Hungary, very often people told me like, "What are you thinking? Like, hey, like look at your skin tone. Like you can't even look. What do you know about her? How could you dare?" And you know, when I went to the Rian Theater, it was such an amazing confirmation that yes, you know, Black artists were embracing me and cheering me up on this idea. And you know, so.
Well, I think this. I want to throw this at you. For many, well, I can speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm inspired by artists that come from all over, right? So when I was growing up, I didn't see skin color as an impediment or something that would prevent me from connecting to that, what that person had to say in their work.
Right.
A lot of times it didn't get me into trouble, but it is confusing for people who have a certain predisposition or in their minds, they get stuck in the identity that is assigned to them on the surface. There's so much more to us than just our surface. There is our soul, right? And there is, you know, how we feel, our mind, how we perceive the world. And sometimes that overrides the cultural software, if you want to call it.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
It's the software that you are presented with, you know, in terms of your growing up, but it doesn't necessarily mean that software will be the dominant software long term. Other things start to kick in, right? That will push you toward whatever it is that you identify with or you can understand. So that's what my take is on it. And also the second point is, I would say Black Americans, we are very open to people from other cultures once we have a level of trust. Once we understand that the person is authentic in their interests. It's fairly, this is me, it's fairly easy to move into that space. But you know, that depends. Like, I mean, it depends perhaps in some way on the type of work. You know, artists tend to be more open. Let's say if you're trying to become a politician or something like this, or you're entering circles like that, that might be different. But I can see that Josephine connection. I mean, you sent some, just so everybody knows, she sent some pictures of her performance, and you know, I wish I could show, you know, them on the computer right now. We cannot. but it was clear. I said, okay, she does a lot. She does the singing, she does the dancing, you know, and then there's the film, and there's all these different things. So like, let's go back to New York. You're in New York, you take these odd jobs. When, and as I mean, as we talked about how we're going to break it down, when does the film part of it happen? There seems to be, you attended the Digital Film Academy in New York City, right?
Yeah, that came later, yes.
That
So
came later.
basically, you know, I would say my philosophy was I was doing odd jobs, but I always arranged them around my initial work. So for me, the professional work, my professional goal was number one. So everything had to be just around this and just serving that and just after it. Yet, you know, for years and years playing in theater, doing concerts, whatnot, you know, I was not able to break through to make like a very serious living on it. You know, I was still like, you know, it took years to conquer the language. I'm even not, you know, perfect. I didn't perfect it to the level I would want to. I mean, when I prepare for a role, I do, but you know, it's still a challenge. It's still a second language. So eventually, I was thinking, what kind of supplemental stuff should I do that I could bear to do? Because I'm a crazy artist. Like, I somehow cannot do anything that is not coming from my soul. Like, you know, I'm not talking about negatively waiting tables or anything, but I couldn't get myself to do it, you know. And I said, what shall I do? What I can love, what I could open my heart to. And you know, it just happened that I met a professor from NYU, Professor Karbardos, and he needed someone who is shooting for Hungarian American television and for other projects. And so I got pulled into film projects, and I had to learn shooting, editing on the fly, you know, on the job. And when I got deeper into it, I discovered that this is it. I could do this. I love this. I love films. I could do, you know, I could watch 4 or 5 films a day, like from early morning till midnight. I could literally watch films. I love films. I'm interested how films are made. Films are also storytelling venues. They are still, you know, they have music, they have colors, they have, you know, very close to stage, yet it has another element. So I said, let me jump into this and add this to the skills. And I took years, you know, I was practicing on the job, I learned on the job, and I took little courses, and I learned, you know, from different sources. And then I decided to go to Digital Film Academy, but it's a constant learning, you know.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. It's
Technology
layered, almost
changing.
layered, right? Layered. Yeah. You're moving through life, and you're picking up all of these skills at the same time. And
you know, yes.
Develops.
And you know, this is one of the biggest challenges I found. To do so many things, it could be very tricky and scary in a way, because you could end up doing a little bit of everything on not the highest level. And that is the scariest thought for me, not to do something on your highest possible level.
Yes.
So it's a great, it requires discipline, focus to keep chiseling and working on the details of each and every art form, what I'm doing, singing, you know, and learning the cameras and new cameras, the new technology, and learn about financing in film, and then keep myself in shape for dancing, and you name it. I mean, all these elements could be a program of a lifetime. So I think that's one of the most important things I could you know, emphasize, that if someone wants to stand so many legs, they have to kind of pull up the sleeves and, you know, be ready to work, because it's crazy hard work. Like, because I don't like the sleaziness or the half-baked project. You know, I like to do it on a highest professional level, but it's very challenging.
Yes.
All this stuff. So,
Well,
but
well,
it's
well,
super
well, let me
fun.
ask you a question. I have so many questions. I mean, and it seems already we're gonna go off tangent, right? So we're supposed to also talk about your projects. I have
Yes.
a question. I'm going to throw this out. We can decide whether to do this after you talk about your the project. I want to talk about um, uh, your favorite film, things that just are right off the cuff that you're thinking, because you goes, I could sit. This is the thing that triggered me. I could sit and watch film after film after film, right? So
Yes.
I used to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, I used to do that, and it wasn't a big deal for me, right? It wasn't. I could go back to back to back, not necessarily Hollywood film, even though I
Mm-hmm.
could do Hollywood film, but
Mm-hmm.
or it would be older Hollywood film
Mm-hmm.
or foreign film. So
Yes.
we talk about that. I want to know your impression on the current artists that are influential to you, the ones that are living now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about your experience in Cannes at the Cannes Film Festival, because I want people
Yes.
to hear about that. Then we
Yes.
go into your project. Is that fair?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That
So,
sounds
so,
very
so in
fair.
terms of the film that when I say, what are your favorite films? What immediately pops out to you in your
What
mind?
is the title? I always mess it up. The cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover. Peter Greenaway. I mean, I can watch that film like
I love
any
it. I
time.
love it because I already know. I know it. You triggered me again, right? Say it again. Do you know the director's name? The cook. The
The
cook.
cook, the thief, his
Uh-huh.
wife, and her lover.
That was in the
Peter
80s,
Greenaway.
early 80s.
Yes, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Helen
And
Mirren was
why?
that.
And why? And why? What's up? Why in
Oh
that film?
God, I mean, I love the story. The message is, I think it's really powerful, strong.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the the look of the film. I mean, Greenaway was a painter,
Okay.
and it shows on the film. And it looks like a moving painting. I
Hmm.
mean, the visuals, the artwork, the design, the costumes. I
Yes.
mean, the most gorgeous, and it's not. It has this absurd element, like
Mm.
he's taking it, he's moving it away from reality a bit. So he's bringing us into his wild world,
Uh-huh.
but it has a very strong relevant message to
Yes.
our world, you know.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Of course. And in that era, I mean, I like the 80s because I grew up in the 80s, right? So it's interesting that you threw that picture out, and I was like, I know that one, right? I know that one. You know what I mean? Like even if it's tangential, the message in my mind, I can access that. Just like when you're talking about in your home with your parents, and you had the Picassos and
Artworks all around.
Modigliani everywhere. Like I can access that film almost the same way because I watched them during that time. What other film? What
I
other
love
film?
Carlos Saura Carmen.
Repeat that again.
The filmmaker is Carlos Saura,
Uh-huh.
Spanish,
Uh-huh.
and it's Carmen. It's a dance film.
Oh, the Carmen
Carmen,
Carmen.
the flamenco troupe that is preparing to create, put the show on, Carmen.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yet
Hmm.
the real life is becoming a parallel to the
Ah,
actual.
okay,
So,
okay,
so
okay.
the choreographer at the end kills the lead actress out of jealousy. So the picture in the picture,
Uh-huh,
and
uh-huh.
oh my God, I mean Saura, uh, and the flamenco troupe, and Paco de Lucia is playing guitar, and I mean,
Is he the
yes,
director that filmed Tango? The film
yes,
Tango,
yes, correct, yes,
right? That
yes,
film,
yes,
right? That film,
yes,
right? Right.
exactly.
So I know that film. I know that film.
The I love films, not
Yeah.
only, but like this, where
Uh-huh.
film is connected to dance, like
Right.
high level of dancing.
Right. Well, I know
But
that. I know the
not for
Tango
the
film.
sake of watching it, but it has a dramatic purpose.
Yes.
But of course, I love Woody Allen. I
Mm-hmm.
love David Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
I love so many newer modern filmmakers. I mean, I love great drama. I love thrillers. I love musical films.
Mm-hmm.
um I mean, I even love Chicago. Some people don't really like it. They criticize it. I did love Chicago, the musical film, or Hair, the
Yeah,
musical on
yeah.
film.
But they did a great job. The Chicago, they did a great job with the
I thought
film.
it was really
I think,
cool.
you know why people might not like it. This is just what my perception is that Chicago grew out of the theater, and by the
Yeah,
time it translated into film, they used Hollywood people, but and the casting was great, but it still lacked. Let's say, for example, with theater, part of the excitement, at least from my experience, is that
mm,
the 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 project is the star. The
yeah,
project is the
mm-hmm,
star.
mm-hmm.
In Hollywood, what they try to do, at least in the film, is the project almost in this case, takes a secondary role.
You mean the stars were outshining the actual story and the project?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Mm.
Uh-huh. So in at least when I was growing up, when these films, or not films, these theater plays were
Yeah,
coming out on
yeah,
Broadway, it was like the concept Evita, the concept Cats, the concept Boom,
mm-hmm,
and everything had to drive that concept forward,
yeah,
right? The moment that the Hollywood comes in,
mm-hmm,
it not flattens it out, but it's a different take on it, right? So even though I went to the theater, I enjoyed it. You know, and Renee Zellweger and Queen Latifah and all these guys,
yes,
Richard Gere.
yes,
There is the showmanship
yeah.
power of live and how an idea comes together that's missing. The idea is already birthed, right? They're just taking it and putting it in somewhere else.
Tell you the truth, I know it's challenging, but I cheered on the bravery that they actually tried it.
Sure, sure.
They because if you don't try things, how things gonna grow? And I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I've seen Chicago so many times in theater, and I loved it also. I mean, I loved the show, um, but there is a translation to cinema, which I actually learned in a very powerful way when I worked at New Dance Group. New
Mm-hmm.
Dance Group, the oldest dance center in Hungary. And I was training there for years, and then eventually I had the chance to uh, create film and television department for New Dance Group,
Okay.
because the artistic director Rick Schussel
Mm-hmm.
finally heard me. So he said, "Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna give you an office. I'm gonna give you a
Uh-huh.
budget and do it." And I experimented with the most exciting choreographers on. This is the relevant thing what I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
on how exciting to create a choreography or work with a given choreography by a fantastic choreographer, and then create a choreography for the camera with working with that choreography in tandem.
Yes.
So it's like that two choreography working at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I was so inspired. It's fantastic. So cinema has its own mystery and possibilities,
Yes. Yes.
for musical films. And for years I used to say, well, this is the new golden era of musical films, and people were like, oh, come on. I mean, musicals are old and dusty,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
come on. And now they keep coming, and I'm I'm happy I was right, and I felt the trend. I felt
Yes.
the excitement, and I think it has a future. And what I also think, when especially when things get harder, people tend to kind of gravitate toward musical stories, because music is abstract, so you
Mm-hmm.
don't directly have to deal with the hardships, the struggle, the anxiety of reality, but you could escape into that magical world of vibrations, and music takes you somewhere else,
Yes.
and dance.
Yes.
So that's why I think like musical films still living their new golden era.
Yes, yes. Look, I don't disagree with you. I think what I hope comes out of this dialogue, our dialogue, and the others that we will post, is that new partnerships and new opportunities will open up for everyone, and that they can see clearer now that we are all at home, and had some time to rethink and think about what each one of us wants to do from this point forward. Let's go quickly into just a couple of the artists, the current artists. So we talked about the film, the current artists that you are interested in, and I think that can give us also an idea. That can also give us an idea of just sort of how you see things in
When
an
you say
artistic.
current artists, like what
Current
kind of artists
people
you mean?
that you know that are alive, who you see on television or you see in film, and you say,
Like performers, you mean?
yeah, performers, could be anybody. That person, besides Josephine Baker, who's not, I mean, we know this now, but someone who is on that level, or at least close to that level for you, someone that makes you stop when you see them on
Yeah.
the news.
I mean, I love, I come a few generations closer. Liza Minnelli is not super close. I think she's a master. Barbara Streisand. I also personally I loved Renée Zellweger and Judy, and I loved what is the name? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to recall her name. That beautiful film about this. It was a drama this year at the Oscars. It's about the fantastic pioneer, this African American fighter woman who was helping large number of people escaping out of slavery.
Harriet?
That was
Harriet?
yes. Sorry, I have a blackout on that, but I thought her performance, she's a huge Broadway star, was stellar. I mean, and the storytelling and her acting, like she was just magical and so powerful. I have a lot of favorite actors and performers. I mean, it's this is kind of hard to pick because I mean, I love Queen Latifah, believe it or not. I think she is kind of a different type of persona. She has this special coolness about her. Yet I think she's deep.
Yeah.
I love. Now I'm blacking out on names.
And did you see Queen Latifah's performance?
The actress who played Lavian Rose, the French actress. She's
Marion.
Yeah. Marion Cotillard.
Yeah,
I think she's a superstar. I mean, that power, that illuminance, that personal charisma, charm, the joy, I mean, there are many artists who inspire me.
Well, let's go to Cannes. I want people to understand how you got to Cannes, and then we jump into the Mambo project, and then we because I can talk to you, I can just continue to talk to you. It's
always like that.
But I want people to know how you got to Cannes.
But first of all, when I started to make my own films, I learned the technique very quickly on the job first, and then later I educated myself, started to do my own films. And then, of course, when you have short films, the next logical step that you try to take it to festivals. And I had my films in Winter Film Awards, winning award. I went to Monaco International Film Festival, which is a beautiful festival. They have a humanitarian profile. They only work with films of a humanitarian mission. And then I met someone, at Monaco, and this filmmaker colleague said, I think you should, after all you've done and you traveled around with your films, you should go to Cannes. I think that's your logical next step. I said, really?
Yes.
It's like come on, you have to get to Cannes. And, you know, thanks to her, she was wonderful. She pointed me to that direction. I went to Cannes first. I was looking around and I was awed. You know, that first of all, that large number of people from all over the world coming together with the same interest, with the same passion for film and storytelling, and of course the style. You know, when you honor something, you know, the red carpet and the dress up, it's about honoring the art form. You know, have this excitement about it, and giving it a style. It had all the charm, but I saw the possibility to connect with colleagues and meet people and network. And of course, year by year, I started to bring projects, short films. I went to the Marche. I exhibited at different booths at the market, the Marche, and I started to win awards. Like last year, I shot 2 films, short films, on cell phone, because there was a particular category. So the limitation was that you had to shoot the film on cell phones, and I won 2 interesting awards, you know, at 2 different showcases in Cannes, because the beauty of the market around the actual official festival, that they have all these little competitions or showcases, so you could measure yourself, you could showcase yourself, and most of all, meet the people. and you know, connect with your possible future colleagues and collaborators.
So how many times have you gone to Cannes?
I think this was the 6th time already.
The 6th time already? I thought you had gone like once or so in one. So this is fantastic, right? So you really are a veteran now.
Well, I mean,
veteran of the process.
Big word. Yes.
Veteran of the process. So you know, you're the go-to, for Cannes. So
I don't know, but I have some, you know, I could have give some good advice if someone interested.
Of course, because there are people that haven't seen Cannes yet, and they, you know.
Yes. As I said, there is always a need of a person who's going to point you that direction.
Absolutely.
Lovely colleague did.
Absolutely, right? It's important. It's a key role, not to be underestimated. Yeah. Sure. And so well, let's talk about the Mambo project. Tell people what this is about, because I think it's very important. This is key, even though we've left it till the end of our, you know, interview. Explain to people how you got involved with this particular project.
Well, you know, as I told you, as a quote-unquote filmmaker, I don't want to use these big words, you know, the artist who's working with films. You know, first I did my short films. I worked on so many people's projects. You would not even believe it. Like, you know, learn the craft and meet people. And of course, make a living is also important. But then, of course, eventually the question comes up that you should do your own feature. You know, they used to say the first feature is almost the hardest one. As they used to say, the first million is the hardest to make. The first feature is, you know, it's like kind of a threshold. Right. So what happened in the process, I was taking my short films around. With my film I made about my mother called Brush Strokes. Then my mother got a stroke. I won an award at Winter Film Awards in 2012. And at this beautifully made award show, they put on a gorgeous show. It was very well done, the whole festival. You know, I learned that I won an award. And the celebrity who handed over the award to me was Morepaz August, aka Mambo Kid. He's a fantastic kickbox world champion, and he was the chosen celebrity who handed the award to me. And so at the party, we started to chat, and you know, just by the bar, he told me his story. And as he told me his story, I was like, oh, you know, Mo, this sounds like a movie. And he's like, exactly. So believe it or not, that's how we started. Right. Because I thought also that the way we met, it's almost like it has a spiritual meaning or message. Like I didn't feel it was just an accident. I thought it was It was a purpose
Mhm.
for it. I don't know. I connected with his story immediately and with his personality. I told you that through the struggle and hardships of making it in New York, I developed a very deep empathy for people who need to struggle, people, the underdog, the people who are in a disadvantaged situation. So as he told me his story growing up as a kid in the poorest part of New Jersey, and he was, of course, logically, pulled into gangs, and he was living the troubled life. I
Mhm.
don't know. I
Mhm.
mean, I
Mhm.
wouldn't want to say these words, troubled, but they were stealing, they were selling drugs, they were breaking into cars, and eventually he was incarcerated in a youth house. And guess what? In the youth house, all of a sudden, uh, he was exposed to boxing. And that made such an impact on his life that coming out of the youth house, he started to pursue this. It was a long process, of course, but the bug was in his heart. I
Yes.
wouldn't say brain, heart,
Yes.
and he just kept going. And, he was amateur first and he was struggling. And believe it or not, this is one of the most beautiful part of the story. His gang cell called Double Use because they were meeting on the corner of 18th Street and 22nd Avenue or something,
What
and
city was this? Do you remember? What city?
Irvington, New Jersey.
Irvington, New Jersey.
Yes.
It's right around the corner from where I grew up.
And I don't want to say anything.
So continue. So
And
the
so
W, it's called the
basically,
W.
the Double Use. That
Oh,
was
the
the gang
W's.
name, right?
Okay. All right.
The guys, as they saw him falling in love with boxing and having the goals,
Yes.
started to literally financially support him.
Mm.
Out of their criminally made money,
Right.
they were like giving, allowance and all kinds of, sponsorship to Mo. And, Mo said at the time, he recalled that those moments, he said, guys, how can I repay this to you?
And they
And they
said
were like, don't do anything, just when the time comes,
it will
just
come. Yeah.
remember us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember
Yeah. Yeah.
us. I almost get teary-eyed when I record this story because it really hit my heart.
Uh-huh.
That faith that those people who were supposedly living in a criminal lifestyle, I mean, they were living a criminal lifestyle. A lot of them were jailed. I think out of the whole gang, I think 2 people are alive today. All of them
Wow.
are dead because
Wow.
of being shot or dying in jail or whatnot. And Mo made it to become a world champion, and he held on to the title for years and years and years, and he started to be successful. And at the time he was training celebrities and Wall Street execs and wealthy people and whatnot, and he could have been just okay with that lifestyle. He made it. Yet there was a little something in the back of his brain, back of his mind or in his heart. Once again, he couldn't just enjoy the success. He felt he has to give back. So he started to reach out to kids in gangs, those troubled kids of today.
Yeah.
And he started to bring them into his gym. He actually, the first youth center he created in Holland, in Amsterdam.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he started to bring them in, kind of seduce them, trick them in. and eventually he kind of inspired them to leave the gang lifestyle.
Right.
He said, I'm going to train you guys for free. I'll help you with all kinds of training, financial, whatnot, to be able to get back to a normal life or start anew. But you have to leave the gang. That's it. No more gang to you. And so he literally saved hundreds and hundreds of kids. And he continued that in Barcelona. And his big dream was to do the same thing in his hometown, New York. So he came back to America, and he, it's very difficult here to just open up a youth center and who's going to pay the bills. And he had to convince investors, and it's not an inexpensive
Right.
project.
Yeah,
So
sure.
he decided he's gonna go back to active boxing, and he went back to the ring, started to fight, but this time for the kids, to
Yeah,
raise
yeah.
the money for the kids and open up the youth center. And he was dreaming about, creating a chain through America. So this could be like, just one of the examples. Like it could happen all through the country, in fact, all through the world. All these kids that are on the wrong side of the law and wasting their life energy to be pulled into something positive,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he kept fighting. And this is the story, and I'm not going to tell you all where the
No,
story
no, no,
ends.
you don't have to. No, no, I just thought people should know what this project. I saw some of the film that you sent, and I understood immediately. I said, well, this is the key. This is the key thing we have to talk about. Um, Even though it's toward the end of our conversation. Where is he living now? Where is he living now?
He's in New York
He's in New
City.
York. And tell our audience like what's going on with the project right now, and sort of what you see in the
Yeah.
next, post pandemic or post
Sure.
yeah post
Well, we, throughout the years since 2012, I kept shooting. So I have a lot of footage from the past years.
mhm.
But this year, starting last year, we got back into full gear to complete the project.
Yeah.
So right now, 60% of the film is shot. And tell you the truth, it would have been already done. We only had the only problem in the way of this, that we had a sponsor in the middle of production pulling out.
Yeah.
So it was left off high and dry, and that happens in film. I'm learning.
Mhm.
And so basically we were working on finding the sponsor who could help us complete the project. We are on the way. We actually negotiating with a group of investors. So as soon as the lockdown is lifted, I think the next few months we could finish the project. And it's exciting for me because I envisioned original music for the film. So I want to produce specific music for the film, contemporary Latin music, since
Yeah.
he's the mambo kid.
Sure.
Right? And his thing to go into the ring is with the luscious, beautiful Latin female dancers. That was his persona, his character.
Right.
Also, I'm looking for either a star or a fresh-faced, very talented rap artist. So the music is very important, and basically, when we get the money, we have the opportunity to complete the film this year. My big dream is first of all, to premiere it in Cannes. Cannes is not going to happen this year. I don't think so. They kind of say September 20th. I'm afraid not. I think it's going to be next year. I would also love to gear the film toward Oscar eligibility.
Well, you know what? Let me, before you go on, just so it's clear, when all of this happens, you have to come back and we do another interview, because there's so much information that you have provided in the time that we've had, that I could actually go into each segment and delve a little bit more, particularly with regard to this financing part of the film, for people that are unaware of how this is done. This is a really important part. And I really would like to at least throw that out to you. And it might even be sooner, because the idea is that we're going to get as many interviews as possible uploaded into the next month or so. And then we'll see what happens. I think I want to thank you for your time and your energy and your passion. I felt it through the screen, which I knew I would. And is there anything, like, in conclusion, because I want to make sure that you end the interview with something that you can give the audience in a big way.
Well, I could say that follow us on Facebook and Instagram. They could find information about the film, the upcoming, updated info. Zoi Florosz is my name, or Project Mambo Kid. So if you're interested in the project, where it's developing, we're gonna always keep updated information. And wanted to thank you to include into this beautiful series you creating, because I did see lots of other portraits you already shot, and I was just awed, blown away by the beauty of the personalities and how interesting and smart and just amazing people you lined up. And it tells a lot about you, because because you could call these people on, and they say the biggest yes to you to be. I'm so proud to be part of this series. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And one thing I want to say, just put out and keep reminding myself, through anything, through thick and thin, just follow your passion. I think the heart energy never lies. So I think this could be the best way to go, and trust that direction, trust that energy.
Okay, with that, we will end the interview. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great speaking with you, seeing you again through the computer screen, and we will be in touch.
Thank you,
Thank you
I
so
look
much.
forward to it, and all the best to you, and talk to you very soon.
All right, will do. Thank you so much.